Another thing to consider is your mounting option. Some Burton boards will feature the channel mounting system, which just has a single track in the board. It's going to be on their higher end boards, and you will, to take advantage of that system, you're looking at specifically an EST binding. If you're looking for any other board on the market or to keep the cost cheaper, the insert, traditional insert that they've had for years is really the way to go. And you can pretty much mix and match those with the exception of Burton, which has a different hole pattern for their insert. It's a 3D hole pattern. You want to look at bindings that are specifically compatible with that Burton binding. Other than that, the width of the board is another thing that you want to definitely consider. This is based solely on the shoe size. If you have, say, a 10 shoe or less, you can go with just a regular width board. You don't have to go with a mid-wide or a wide board. If you go into the 10 to 11, maybe 11 and a half crowd, you are looking at a mid-wide board. It's going to have a hair of extra width, and it's just designed, to keep you from dragging your toe or heel. You want to make sure that the board width is optimized for your foot. Ideally, for most riding, you're going to want to have your toe and heel overhang by about a ½ inch to an inch when lined up with the board edge and then the toe or heel of the boot. This is going to allow you the ability to still have power to roll the board up on edge, but it's not going to be too much to where you get drag. From a mid-wide, if you have a size 12 or larger, you want to look at a full-blown wide board, and that, like I said, is just going to keep you from catching your toe or heel, keep you from washing out on the turn. If you do get into the 14 to 15 crowd, you're going to want to look for something that is extra wide. Now, we don't have this category listed on the site, so for you guys, you're basically looking at something that's got a waist width of 27 centimeters or higher. There's very few boards out that have that, so you would be, looking at specific ones, but we always have the waist width listed on the site for you to check out. From there, do we talk about shape? Tapered versus twin, directional? Okay, well, you're going to cut that part out. Next, we move into shape. Shape is, once again, going to be kind of a personal preference thing. Starting with my personal favorite, the twin boards. It's going to be a shape that's symmetrical when cut in half. It's just really balanced, easy to ride, forgiving, and good for park riders, entry-level riders. That moves into directional boards, which will have a longer nose than tail. They're going to be stiffer in the tail, a little bit softer in the nose. Those are for the riders that are riding one way all the time, your powder riders, your free riders, your people that aren't riding switch that much. You'll see that on probably about 40% of the boards. About 60% of the boards are going to be the twin shape nowadays. They're very, very popular. And then finally, you've got your powder specific boards. These are going to account for probably less than 1% of the market. They're wider nose and tail, extremely shifted back stance pattern, and those ones work really, really good for powder conditions, riding in one direction, and free riders. Other than that, the construction is another thing to consider. Beginner boards, entry-level boards will feature usually a simpler wood core. Not too many laminations to it. They'll have your extruded base and your maybe single direction fiberglass. As you go up, you're going to see wood cores increase in the amount of laminations or the amount of pieces of wood that are in the core. You'll also see experimentations with engineered grain direction where they run grain different ways to increase strength or promote edge grip. And then as you move into super high-end cores, you're going to see synthetic materials used, such as honeycomb, whether it be aluminum or fiber-based. You'll see, some high-end foam usage as well too. But for the most part, most of the boards on the market are going to be that wood core. Fiberglass is another thing I mentioned earlier that you're going to have just like a single direction fiberglass on a freestyle board. They'll just add layers on to increase the stiffness all the way up into your high-end free ride product. Also, you'll see experimentations with Kevlar, with carbon, basalt fiberglass, a whole bunch of different stuff out there. And these are all going to increase the stiffness and decrease the weight of the board. Your top sheets are all over the place as far as what people use. You've got fabric, you've got a lot of green options out there being made of beans and stuff like that. And then you got a lot of just your typical shiny ones too. These are, you know, mostly cosmetic for the most part. The base we touched on already. That would be the bottom part of the board, and then edges are another thing too. That's kind of, the technology's gotten a little bit out there in the last few years. Typical edge will wrap the whole construction of the board. You do have some boards that will stop it at the nose and the tail. This is going to reduce the weight of the board and create a little bit torsionally looser board. And then you have some nowadays that will have altered side cuts, such as Liptek's magne-traction or Burton's pressure distribution edge. These boards will have like a wobble to the edge or have it exaggerated right underneath the binding position. And these are just designed to increase your edge hold on icy hard pack terrain. Really good options for pretty much any type of rider, but as an entry-level rider, it's going to teach you, it's going to allow you to have really good edge hold. As a freestyle rider, it allows you to dull the edge of the board so that it's not catching on any kind of rail or box, but you still have really good grip through the rest of the terrain. And then as an expert rider, as you're going Mach 10 down the slope, it's really going to help you hold your edge and keep you from catching your edge when you're going super fast out there. Other than that, really personal preference is the biggest thing. If you can get out there and like demo the stuff, or if you have a really good buddy that can help guide with you, there's a lot of stuff out there, and this is just a general guideline. You can definitely change it up a little bit for personal perspective, but if you have any questions at all, Monday through Friday, just call back, ask for Dave. I'll be more than glad to help you out. Dave here at the house. We're going to talk about different styles of riding. This is going to help determine, what kind of board you're looking for. Basically, first of all, you got your experience level. We got beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And these can be applied to any type of riding, whether it be freestyle or free ride. Basically, if you're going out and it's your first through probably 10th time, you're still probably going to be a beginner. You can definitely look to more of an intermediate board if you're looking to future-proof yourself. If you've been riding for a couple of years to maybe 5-6 years, you're going to be in that intermediate range. You're still definitely progressing. And here you can maybe look at an intermediate or maybe an advanced board if you do see yourself progressing quickly. I mean, learning curve with snowboarding is definitely a little bit quicker than skiing or other sports, for sure. Determine what kind of rider you're looking to do. A freestyle rider is going to be somebody who is either doing tricks in the park or is looking to do tricks in the park. Somebody that's definitely jumping, using the rails and boxes, half pipe, or if you're out west looking for jumping off cliffs, especially when you're spinning off them, or any kind of backcountry freestyle. A free rider is going to be more a person who's just looking to cruise around, a carver, somebody's cruising the groomers, but then that also can apply to somebody who is maybe looking for trees, powder, just straight off of cliffs and stuff like that. Not really technical moves, but nonetheless really high speeds, natural terrain, stuff like that. Basically, when you're just starting off, if you don't know, what you're looking to do, there's a category in the center called all mountain. This is really going to kind of take the best of both styles and put them into a board that would, you do the whole mountain pretty well. These are a good option if you're a beginner to look for just an intermediate all mountain board. It's not going to pigeonhole you into one type of riding. It's going to give you a good flavor for the sport. And that next time around, you maybe look for something a little bit more specific, such as freestyle or free ride. But there's a lot of stuff out there. Personal preference weighs huge into this one, just because some freestyle riders will like a stiffer board and some free riders will like a softer board. So that's why starting out in that center, if you're a beginner, is a really good option. If you have any questions, you can always give me a shout.